Okay, well, I'm going to get started. My name is Jinx Cole. I am the Director of Education in Middle Tennessee. So I kind of do what Susan does and do what Carol does. What I kind of like about working for Crye-Leike is we're not micromanaged, so it is local. So I do things a little bit differently here than Susan does it there because we're in different markets and we have different agents and different managers, different number of offices. But if you can see my screen behind me, and the reason why I have this screen is I've been in real estate over 30 years, and I have found a lot of real estate agents think they are invincible. Think they are invincible, and whatever happens out in the public is not going to happen to them. And as you're going to see in the class I'm going to show, and I've sort of tweaked this class the way that I wanted to tweak it and added some stuff that's not in this class that other people teach. So I'm hoping you like it. We're going to talk about who Beverly Carter is towards the end. I'm assuming everyone does know she was a realtor with Crye-Leike, and she was in Arkansas. In 2014, she was kidnapped while showing property and eventually murdered. You're going to hear more on her story later. It's an amazing story. I have a video clip to show you on that. And just have your Kleenex ready, but it's very well done. Very well, gracefully done. So when this happened to Beverly Carter, NAR jumped on board, and there was a lot of conversation in the real estate community. And what can we do to make it so this doesn't happen? What are our resources? What can we do? There are lots of suggestions thrown out there in the realtor world. One of them was to make agents meet their clients in the office in person. They were talking about passing a law to do this. So if anyone wants to chime in, you're welcome to unmute yourself. Why do you think they decided this was not a good idea? Anybody? You are an independent contractor. All of our agents are independent contractors. You're not an employee of Crye-Leike. We could have it in our independent contractor agreement. But if you think about it, if we have 3,200 agents, if we had 32,000 closings, that's at least 32,000 clients. Do you think we can regulate and watch and monitor every time you're meeting someone and make you come in the office and get all that information from them? It would be incredibly difficult to enforce, and it would be a burden on the agents. Another suggestion was to have a code word. That was thrown out there. I've worked in some companies and they did want a code word. Like if you're out there showing property, if you want to, if you feel sort of funky and weird, call the office and say, hey, I need you to pull the red file, and that would tell the people in the office that you're in trouble. I didn't like that myself because I think if you don't feel right, if you don't feel safe and you can pick up the phone, call 911. Don't call your office, call 911. And we're going to talk about apps and all of that in a little bit. Another suggestion was to make a copy of the driver's license, was another suggestion that was thrown out and around in 2014. They do this in apartment complexes, but they're very specific on it. They do it for everybody that walks in the door. One of the problems with that is fair housing. You need to make sure you do it for each and every person that you talk to. You need to watch that and make sure you do that. So, the best thing for you and what we decided, you are an independent contractor. I'm going to be giving you a lot of suggestions, a lot of ideas of what you can do for your safety. And your office may have a policy about what they want you to follow. So, but you need to decide. The ultimate decision for your own safety is yourself. Okay, hold on, I gotta move this out of the way so I can see what I have. Proactive procedures for safety. 70% of realtors said that their offices have procedures in place. So you need to find out for your office, you need to ask yourself the question, does my office have a procedure in place for my safety? So if you do not know the answer to that, please talk to your managing broker and find out what it is, and to get some ideas of what they think, will work for your office and in the area you live in. It is a fact. Every year, real estate licensees across the country are threatened, robbed, and physically or sexually assaulted while fulfilling everyday requirements of their job. just for being in real estate, and some do even lose their lives. Okay, this is Crye-Leike's Commandments of Real Estate Safety. I'm not going to read it right now because we're going to be going through these one by one in the slide. Just know that we do have that. We do have our commandments of real estate safety and what you need to be doing. Do not meet a stranger at a property. You can Google them. There are, you can beenverified.com. There's a lot of safety websites you can go to get a background search on someone, you know, if they've been arrested. Each of you live in different communities and different counties. Some of the communities have a way to look it up in the sheriff's department, with the police department, to see if, you know, if someone's been arrested by Googling and looking up their name. But, you know, have a friend or significant other go with you to show property if that's possible to do that. You can ask them to meet you in the office if you're comfortable doing that, or in a public setting, and introduce them to a colleague. And always be certain your cell phone is charged. But don't go on looks, okay? Even if you Google them and you go on their Facebook page, you see this nice, sweet, loving couple on this screen? See how just sweet and wonderful and kind they are? That is who kidnapped Beverly Carter. That was on their Facebook page. You would think you'd be very safe meeting this couple. He did have 7 felony counts against him. He had been in jail. You wouldn't know that looking on Facebook. So don't go by looks. Always find some way, some app, and I'm going to give you suggestions in a little bit on a way that you can look people up. Number 2 is use the buddy system. Have someone in your office, you know, say every time I go show property, I'm going to make sure I share my showing itinerary with you. And when they show property, they're going to show their sharing itinerary, you know, back to you. So both of you always know when you're viewing property where you're going to be. So definitely use a buddy system. Keep tabs on each other. We do have a licensee itinerary form on here. Share your showing itinerary with others. I know different MLSs, they have a way where you can actually print up your itinerary. I don't know if all of them and all the areas you live in have that, but Crye-Leike has a form for you. Susan, would you unmute yourself and share the story about the agent that was not feeling well before she went to go preview some properties? Do you remember that one?
I do. So she was in the office that morning. She was working in the agent area, and you know, we all saw her. We knew she was going to go show property. Well, about 3:15, 3:20 that afternoon, her husband called and said, "Have you seen Nicole? Because she didn't go to the school and pick our daughter up today." And that kind of freaked us all out, because that was, I mean, she does that. That's what she does, is picks her daughter up. So we actually had her agent form, and we had her information about her car and all that. And we sat down. None of us knew where she was going to go show property though. So we sat down, and the broker actually called the showing service, and the showing service wouldn't tell the broker where she was at looking at property, because the broker didn't have her PIN number as far as the showing service goes. And so it was wasting a lot of time trying to get and figure out where she was at. I went and had a bunch of agents just start calling her phone. And what had happened was she wasn't feeling that great, thought she was coming down with a cold, and she took some medicine and had fell asleep on the bed. And we finally were able to rouse her from everybody calling her. But we realized real quick we needed some information, because we needed to have it in the office. And we, you know, everybody doesn't use this. This is your choice to use it or not. But I can tell you, if something had happened to Nicole that day, we would have not known where to go looking for her. Okay, I mean, we would have had to get the whole GPS with the phone, and and there's legal things you have to do to get that information. And it might have been too late to find her by the time we did that, because that's what was happening with the showing service. The broker didn't have the PIN number. And so they just wouldn't tell us the places that she had scheduled appointments at. So this is a terrific form for you to use.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely recommend, you know, share your showing itinerary with others. Every time you're going to go out and show property, you know, what's the client's name? When should you be back in the office? You know, if you have the client's phone number, if you have their email address, any information you can put on here, it would be incredibly helpful. And I also like the idea of the showing service pin that you have. So if your managing broker needs to call the showing service, they have your pin. So yeah, thanks, Susan.
You're welcome.
NAR says survey your surroundings. That's step number 4 for us, 10 seconds of your life. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It just takes 10 seconds to save your life. So they break it down in 2-second intervals. 2 seconds when you arrive at your destination. Is there any questionable activity in the area? You know, look around. Are you parked in a well-lit and visible location? Can you be blocked in the driveway? 2 seconds after you step out of your car, are there any suspicious people around? Do you know where you're going? Okay. Take 2 seconds as you walk towards your destination. Look around. Are people coming and going? Is there anything unusual going on? Is anyone loitering? I was actually in Murfreesboro and a couple weeks ago, and I was on a date, and he worked at MTSU. After we had dinner, he said, "You want to go for a walk around MTSU campus?" And I was like, "That'd be great. That'd be fun." Because I love to walk. Anybody that knows me and sees my Facebook page knows I love to walk. So we go walking around, and about 30 minutes into it, I kind of looked around to scratch something, and I noticed someone walking behind us, sort of disheveled, a little further behind, but still there. Walked a little bit. A couple minutes later, I look, and they're still there, but they're a little bit closer. Looked again a little bit, looked back, again a little bit closer, and I started to get nervous. I knew my date carried a gun, so I said it, and I said it pretty loud. "Hey, honey, do you have your gun on you?" He said, "I sure do." And the guy turned around and went down another street, you know? So, I mean, I was looking around, just always watch around, and not when you're just doing real estate, but anytime you're out there. Take another 2 seconds when you're out the door. Do you have an uneasy feeling? Is someone coming up behind you? They always say when you're showing property, you let them in first. It's better if you can get there before them. You can have everything unlocked and set up, and you can just let them go on in. So, but just be very aware. And then 2 seconds as you enter your destination. We had an agent in the Brentwood office, and she was going to show some property to clients. They were friends of hers. She knew them. It was vacant property, not in a very nice part of town. She got there before her clients, and she went ahead and went in. And as she was walking into the house, this guy came screaming out of her, going, "Get out of my house!" and was just screaming and raging at her. So she goes running out of the house and calls 911 because she knew no one was supposed to be in that property. It turned out it was a vagrant. He was high on drugs. He didn't know really what was going on. So you never know what you're going to run to when you're going into a vacant house. So be very, very careful and do these steps. Take all these 2 seconds as you're doing all these things. It just takes 10 seconds to scope out your surroundings, spot and avoid danger. Make this 10-second span. It is worth, your life is worth 10 seconds. Make it a habit in your everyday work. Number 5, have an easy escape route. Number 1, park your car where you can't be blocked in. Okay, park in the street if that's possible, and park at the curb. And then it'll attract much more attention if you're running and screaming to the curb area than if you're parked right next to the front door. Don't show property after dark. It's going to be an issue come November. You know, it narrows the time that you can actually show property, but do not show property after dark. You can't see anything. When showing property, identify the exits and always have the customer precede you, like I already said. Don't get cornered. You don't have to go upstairs. You don't have to go in an attic. You don't have to go in the basement. I have this. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. I have this. It's called Pitbull. And Pitbull is a regular flashlight. So, you know, if I am showing and I need to see what's going on, it is also a strobe light. It also has a little jagged edge. So if I get stuck in a car or something or somewhere, I can get out with the jagged edge. So get yourself it's a very, very, it's also it has a laser on it too, but, and a taser. That's the word I'm thinking. That has a taser on too. So get a flashlight that you're very comfortable using. Okay. Go on Google and look it up and get something from Amazon. You definitely need to keep this with you at all time. So if you're showing property, always leave the front door unlocked. Put your purse in the trunk of your car before you go out to show property. You don't need your purse. You have your phone. You can get into everything with your phone. If they're going to rob you, they're going to have to get your keys and get in the trunk and get out of there. If you're parked out on the street, it might be obvious to somebody driving by. So definitely have an escape route and put your purse in the trunk of your car. Use current technology. Okay. Consider wearing GPS type jewelry. There's pendants, bracelets, there's rings. And that can be discreet and people don't know that is a GPS based jewelry. There's also a lot of apps. I'm going to go through some of them in a minute. So you can also have a safety device for your key ring. You can have that. Pepper spray. The thing with pepper spray is you have to be careful. The wind's blowing in the wrong direction. You will get sprayed yourself. If you're inside a house, if you learn how to do it, you have to look away when you spray. So even it can still come back a little bit at you. You have to be careful. So inside a house, wind will not be blowing. Just find what's going to work for you. Find what's comfortable for you that you will actually utilize. 53% of members use a smartphone safety app to track whereabouts and alert colleagues in case of an emergency. That's up from 47% in 2018. Most commonly used is the Find My iPhone feature, so people can find you. The GPS phone track for Android. Your Sentry Key, okay? The app in your Sentry Key app has something in there, as well as HomeSnap. They have a safety feature in there as well. So I'm seeing some questions. Susan, are there any good questions in there? It just flashed real fast. You're muted.
One of the classes I was taking there on the showing time, you can set up to where, when you have your app up to get you inside, for the lockbox, there's a safety feature on that you can hit.
Oh, cool.
But you have to go into the showing time and set it up.
Okay.
And
Nice.
some of the stuff you might be seeing, Jinx, is I uploaded the agent ID form, the itinerary form, and the customer ID form. So in case they wanted, because somebody had said
Fantastic.
if you don't
Fantastic.
have the
Thank you.
form, yeah. So I just uploaded them.
Okay. Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay. So here are some other apps. This is from Inman News. They reviewed the following safety apps. So I tell people when I'm teaching a class, if there's something you like, take a picture of it. You can easily pick up your phone and take a picture to get some safety app ideas. Forewarn, this app uses a person's phone number to call public data records to uncover address history, time connected to that phone number. So there's a bunch of them out there, a lot to choose from. The best app for you is one you're going to use. So find one that you're comfortable with, that you like, that you will utilize when you're out there showing property. Okay, preparing for personal safety. You can take a safety class. Maybe get with your managing broker, say, hey, can we have someone come in the office and talk safety? A lot of time the associations will come out and teach safety courses to the masses. So I don't think they haven't done this since COVID. So, but hopefully in 2021, we'll be able to have classes back at the associations and we can have a safety class again. So I think that's very important. I tell my agents, when you get a new listing, especially if it's vacant, meet the neighbors, okay? Go to the next door neighbor. I mean, I wouldn't go in their house, but if they're out working on the yard or if they're getting in their car or getting the mail, go by and meet them and say, hey, I just listed this house. It's a vacant house. If you see anything going on, here's my business card. Please give me a call so I can make sure it's taken care of. So it gets your name out there. It's another way to pass out your business card. If you're doing an open house, especially if it's not your listing, you might want to get there a little early and meet the neighbors, at least scope out the neighborhood so you feel comfortable. Now, never advertise a home as vacant in MLS. I mean, they can look at the pictures, they can see that it's vacant, but to actually have it in the public remarks, it's just not a smart thing to do. Here is what Susan was talking about earlier. We do have a customer identification form. it's the licensee's name and the date, then the customer's name. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking a customer to fill this out, and it is for your own safety. I mean, think about it. When you go to a car dealership and you want to test drive a car, do they just hand you the keys and let you go? No, you have to fill out a form. You know, and I think we are more valuable than a brand new car. So I don't see any reason that they should not want to do this unless they're not nice people. The best way to put it. Okay, so my next slide has a little bit of levity to it. So dress for safety. Dress for safety. Avoid wearing expensive jewelry, okay, and impractical clothing. Don't use a glamour shot for your personal marketing. Okay, limit the amount of personal information you share. I always tell people, don't put on Facebook when you're heading out of town. Don't post pictures while you're out of town. I went to Hawaii and I posted all these pictures. You know, I'll be back in another week. Well, you might get robbed. So don't do that. Don't post, woohoo, just had a great big closing. I just made $42,000. We don't need to post that. We shouldn't put that out there at all. So dress professionally yet comfortable, especially your shoes. Ladies, always keep a pair of flats in the trunk of your car, as well as some boots. You never know when you're going to be out showing property, out showing land, out showing acreage. We're going to be walking the property line. Definitely keep some boots in the trunk of your car at all times. Okay. Now this is just kind of funny. I just wanted to throw this one in there too. Headshots. What not to do. These are actual realtor headshots that they use in advertising. Glass of wine, not too bright. This one's not too bad. His eyes are just a little bug-eyed. I know he's got the earrings. That doesn't bother me at all. He's probably a really cool guy. I'd love to hang out and do some hiking with him. But it's just, you just got to be careful. The last one with the puppet. To me, that's just a little weird. I'm sorry. Now, this guy is an actual agent. He was one of my agents. And when he started with us, he brought in his headshot so we could, you know, do some advertising for him. And I was like, I really think you need to redo this because you just kind of look goofy doing this. He's never changed it. But just have nice, set, professional, not a glamour shots. The most important rule with the headshot is make sure it looks like you. Step number 9, do not share these steps with the public. Don't post it on, hey, we just got new safety measures in our office. This is what we're doing. We don't want to do that. Any safety measures you decide to do for yourself, keep it to yourself, to those people in your family that you trust so they know what your safety measures are and how you're looking out for yourself and how they can help you. And listen to your instincts. We all have the little hair that can pop up on the back of our head. If you get nervous, call 911. Trust your gut, trust your feelings. The first suspicious signal, you know, anything abnormal, anything kind of weird, just, you know, just get out of there. It's okay. It's not worth the sale and it's not worth your life. Now, what will your instincts tell you? Fight or flight? Everybody is different. Everybody's going to respond to a difficult situation differently. They say that escape is the best self-defense if you can get out of there. And if you strike, mean it. Okay. There's another philosophy of just no resistance. You can give up your wallet. Don't give up your life. Here's my money. Just take it. Just get out of here. If that's what their intent is, to rob you, just give them everything. Stalling for time. I actually learned this in college. I didn't remember it later in life, but I learned this in college of, you know, trying to appear to go along with your attacker. It's like, oh yeah, I thought you were cute. You know, and kind of stall for time to maybe get towards the door, maybe get towards your purse or your keys or whatever, the lockbox, to get out of there. Distraction, then flight. Yell fire to get attention. Most of all, pay attention to your surroundings. You don't know how you're going to respond. As most people in Middle Tennessee know that have been through my Beverly Carter safety class in 2006, I was attacked while showing property. And I always thought I have a very, I guess, assertive personality, that I always just sort of pictured how I would respond, and that's not the way I responded at all. I just went limp, my whole body, and I learned later in a safety course that that is very normal. Your body is in shock. I just can't believe this person is coming after me. I was very, very blessed. I still think it's a God thing. The moment that happened and I went limp, it was probably within 20 seconds, my cell phone went off and it was my daughter's ringtone. My daughter was in school that day. She was in high school. She was in school that day and she remembered something she wanted to tell me. So she asked to leave the classroom, go to the bathroom, and call me right at that moment. When my phone rang, it woke me up. I pictured my two kids. I was a single parent. They needed their mom. They needed me safe. They needed me healthy. And all of a sudden, I just jerked up, which surprised him, and I could hit him in the nose. And then, of course, I turned around and kicked him where it hurts the most. And then I was on the second floor, went running down the stairs. So, but I didn't know how I would respond. I really thought I would immediately fight once I knew or felt there was danger, but my body just went limp. So you just don't know. So try and prepare as much as you can for what might be coming your way. Now for some NAR stats. Real estate professionals experienced a situation that made them fear for their personal safety. 30% of people experienced a situation. Now, if you're in an office of 30, 10 of them has had an issue. In an office of 60, 20 of them has had an issue. So this is not something that happens every once in a while. It happens on a regular basis. So open houses, vacant homes, model homes, meeting clients alone. I mean, there's a lot of situations that cause people to fear for their own safety. So just be careful what you're doing when you're out there. Self-defense weapons, 35% of men and 49% of women carry some type of self-defense weapon or tool. Women tend to carry pepper spray, 26% of them, men only 4%. Firearms was 12%. More men carried firearms. Pocket knives, 6% for women, 9% for men. Tasers, women like their tasers more than men did. A baton, some sort of club or baton. I mean, I guess I could hit somebody over the head with this, or if it's in my purse, I can whack them with my purse if I take my purse in with me because it is heavy. It would hurt them. And then a battery operated noisemaker. Maybe there's a button, a panic button you can press on your phone. I do like to have these. I pulled these up and I update these about every 6 months, trying to find some new stuff. I had stuff going all the way back to 2014, but I just updated it. There's one from June of 2020. I mean, these are actual articles. When I Googled, real estate attacks, real estate agent attacks, this is what popped up. October of 2017, another one in March of 2018. And this is the most recent one that I could find. 2 men charged with attempting to abduct agent before home showing. August of 2020, just happened last month. Now the next slide, okay. I want you to meet Jim Olson, and you're going to hear his story in a minute. Jim Olson is a real estate agent in Milwaukee. He's not a small guy. He's not a petite man. He's kind of a muscular man. You would think automatically he would be, no one's going to come after him, but you're going to listen to his story. There is one part that's kind of squeamish in the story. I'm going to try and fast forward through that. So if you're squeamish at all, you might want to just cover your eyes. But let me click his story for you. Okay, Susan, let me know if you don't hear this. I haven't started it yet. I'm going to start it in a second.
I'm still having a problem coping with it.
A day on the job turned terrifying.
But it's on my mind.
Milwaukee realtor James Olson thought he'd be meeting a woman at 15th and Burleigh to show her a rental property.
I got there, and she was sitting on the porch.
When they walked inside,
And it just seemed strange to me that all the doors were closed.
things took a scary turn.
And when I entered the kitchen, the door swung open, and a gunman approached me and just stuck a gun right in my face.
Seconds later, another man put another gun to the side of his head.
and then they whacked me in the back of the head. They rifled he was.
They left and hurt, wedding ring and iPhone.
I feared for my life. I really thought that laying on the floor, I was going to get shot in the head.
The suspects ran out a back door. Olson eventually went out the front, meeting his wife, who was waiting in their car. They reported the incident to police.
I was so scared. I never feared for our lives like that. Just I thank God that my husband was okay.
A man shaken but standing determined not to let fear control him.
I'm just going to be careful at what I'm doing, but stick to it and get back up on the horse.
So I just found it to be a very, very interesting story about him. And just knowing, I mean, again, he's not a small man. And this is a real thing that happens on a regular basis. And you just inside that house. Ooh, I need
Once
to.
the food waste
hold
goes
on.
into landfill, it can never come back out.
I always do that. I forget to do that. Okay. Let me, I got out. Okay, this popped up a year ago in Middle Tennessee. The Middle Tennessee Association of Realtors gave out a member warning. A second recent attack on an MTAR realtor member has occurred in the Monteagle area. Currently, no suspect has been apprehended. A female realtor was tending to vacant foreclosure property when she was attacked from behind inside the house by a male suspect. So the point I want to drive home here is if something does happen to you, be sure you tell your managing broker, be sure to call the association so they can get the word out to all the other realtors, and any information you can give, if you know the height, the weight, the build, what kind of car they're driving. We had an incident in Tampa where this guy was blocking agents in and was attacking them in the house. But one of the agents had someone with them that the other guy didn't see and went around and took a picture of the car and then scared the guy off. And so they could actually share the make and model of the car and the license tag. So definitely let your managing broker if something happens to you, and definitely let your association know so that we can get the word out to keep everybody else safe. I like to say, does this only apply to women? No, as you can see by the video clip I showed you, it also happens to just male agents as well. So I have some examples here from 2016. Body was discovered 18 months after he was reported missing. Another guy was stabbed in the neck, was showing a client while tenants were home. So there were other people in the house. And then showing property was shot in a partially renovated home. And then in 2018, the body was murdered in a new homes development. So just very, very scary stuff. I like to show this. This is what happened with Beverly Carter. I'm going to circle back to Beverly Carter. You've been given 10 ideas of what you can do for your own personal safety. Again, you decide which app you want to use, what weapon you feel comfortable using, and what process you want to have. You need to make sure you have a safety process in place for each and every client that you show property to. This is the neighborhood where Beverly was showing property. Her pastor actually lived down the street. It's located on a lake. I mean, you have someone right next door. You have another home across the street. It wasn't like it was, you know, in a secluded area. It was right out there in the open. I want to end this class. It's a 10-minute video. It's so well done. It walks you through exactly what happened to Beverly Carter that day, from the time she met the clients, talked to them, how she got their information, how she responded to them. So many life lessons in that. And to me, in terms of honoring Beverly Carter, that's how I wanted to end this class. So let me click on that. All right, no, sorry, that's not what I wanted. That's what I want.
Beverly Carter was my
We're
sweet
still
mom.
seeing the PowerPoint.
She was an executive
Oh.
broker.
Thank you. There we go. Good. And play.
And a top producing real estate professional from the North Little Rock, Arkansas area. While doing the work that my mom loved so much, she was kidnapped and murdered in the fall of 2014. A couple of weeks before that showing that took my mom from me, my mom began hearing from a couple. Their story was that they were out-of-state buyers. They were relocating due to work, cash buyers. And my mom was hearing from them from phone calls, text, and emails. Their phone number matched that of an out-of-state buyer. Their email address matched the fictitious names that they had given her. But my mom had no idea that these people were not who they said they were. She had no idea of their intentions to kidnap her, to hold her for ransom, and to take her perceived wealth. The husband of this couple that took my mom said when he was questioned, "Why Beverly?" He said, "Because she was a rich broker that worked alone." Just being in the profession, marketing herself as the professional that she was, made her a target. As my mom worked with this couple and learned more about how she could best serve them, she reached out to other agents within her agency to get them to be on the lookout for properties that might be of interest to this couple. My mom talked about this couple and their needs to my dad. And so many people were aware that Mom was working with these clients. However, something happened when the couple reached out and they requested to see a specific property, a property that my mom knew was vacant and was in a bit of disarray, a property that my mom knew probably wouldn't be what they were looking for. We know that it raised a red flag with my mom because my mom did a great thing. And that's that she made up a company policy in the moment, and she said to them, "I'm so sorry, but company policy prohibits me from working alone in a rural area." What my mom didn't anticipate was that the husband handed the phone to his wife, and the wife said, "Hey girl, I'm going to be joining the two of you at this property. Will your company be okay for the three of us to be there during this showing?" My mom, being so sweet and so professional, did as many of us would. She agreed to show them this property. A property that I'll add was known to be in a safe area. This was a common place for my mom. It's a lakefront property. Just a few doors down from this home is where the pastor of my mother's church lived. A community known for its safe community feel where people are known to not even lock their doors. So my mom agreed to meet this couple and show them this property. It's 6 p.m. Keep in mind, my mom had never met them in a public place prior to this. My mom had no idea that on the other end of this transaction, the husband was a 7-time felon. And so my mom got to that property early that day after calling my dad and saying that she was going to show that specific property, and Dad knew exactly where she'd be. 6 p.m. came, and a black car pulls up in the driveway, and it's the husband. And the husband starts in with all these excuses about how he's sorry that the wife will not be able to join them, that she got caught up at work. And sure enough, just kind of in tandem with those excuses, my mom's phone starts receiving text messages from the wife with the apologies. They asked my mom to proceed with showing the property that day, and asked my mom that while she toured the home with the husband, if she would just use her cell phone to take property photos to send to the wife. So it could be as though she was on the showing, at least digitally. And so my mom agreed to show the property. And really one of the toughest things I've ever seen is at the conclusion of the trial, we received my mother's cell phone back, and the last 10 photos on the camera roll were of the interior of this home. that my mom was showing property that day, as she was texting them to the wife and answering questions about the property. But my mom had no idea that on the second floor, one of the bedrooms, as she turned from taking a photograph, that she would be met with a roll of tape just like this one and a taser in her side. The bad guy has been very proud to admit that the last words that my mother heard in her safety were, "You're about to have a very bad day." That bad guy tased my mom. He taped her hands behind her back. He taped her ankles together. He ran this tape entirely around her head over her eyes and entirely around her head over her mouth. He went outside and got in his car and backed his car up to the house and opened the trunk and placed my mom in the trunk of that car. He took my mom to a remote area and made her do the first of what would be a series of ransom recordings. These were intended to get my dad to pay a hefty ransom so that these bad guys would never have to work again. After having my mom record that ransom recording, he took my mom to their home, to the bad guy's home, and locked her in their master bathroom. It was at that point that this bad guy thought about this ransom plan and how they would get these funds from my father. And their original plan was that they would use this rich broker's purse and have this husband push all of this money to the cards within the purse. But in that moment, they found a major flaw in their plan. As a safety precaution, my mom never showed property with her purse on her shoulder. She had left it locked in her car. So in his haste to kidnap my sweet mom and to put her in the trunk of his car, he forgot the purse. That night, he left my mom at his home being guarded by the wife of this couple. And he came back to get the purse, and he found that my entire family was there. Law enforcement was there. And as with so many criminals, they think that they have the best and the brightest plan and they won't get caught. And then they see blue lights and they make crazy decisions. And in the case of my sweet mom, they decided to end my mother's life when they realized that their plan wouldn't work. I carry with me my mother's name badge. This is the badge that she was wearing that day whenever she was showing property. It's a really harsh reality and reminder that these people perceived her not as the precious person that she was, but as a vehicle for money. And whenever they couldn't get what they wanted, they took this precious person, they broke it, and they discarded it. My mother's body was found buried in a shallow grave after days and days of searching. We're fortunate that in my mother's case, there was at least some justice, and that the people that took her are in prison now. But our family has obviously a huge hole that can't be filled from my precious mom. And so in the aftermath of losing her, we've recognized what can happen within this industry and the things that we need to do to keep a similar tragedy from ever happening again. And so in response to losing my precious mom, we founded a nonprofit in her name. It's called the Beverly Carter Foundation. And it exists solely for safety awareness, training, victim advocacy, all for this industry, the industry that my mom loved so much, that she gave so much to, but also now an industry that can learn from my sweet mom and keep this from happening to other people.
Pretty powerful, isn't it? Pretty powerful. She did a lot of the right things. She really did. So it's a lesson for all of us. And I'd like to show that in her memory, that we can all learn from what she had to go through. Do we have any other questions that I need to answer?
There aren't currently any questions in the chat, but does anybody have anything?
Is there a place to get a copy of that video?
You can go to the Beverly Carter. I mean, I can send you a link. Oh, actually, I can probably post a link up there now if you want to. Let me go back in there. Get out. It's on YouTube called the Beverly Carter Story, but I'll go ahead and post a link in the chat. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, sure, of course. So yeah, I think it's very powerful, be good for managing brokers to show in their business meetings, especially since she was a Crye-Leike agent. But just know, we all love our Crye-Leike agents. We want you all to be as safe as you can possibly be, and make sure you talk to the other agents in your office about making sure that they're being safe as well. So that's pretty much it for my class today.
Right. Thank you all very much, and do remember safety all the time, not just in the month of September when the National Association recognizes it. And thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and be profitable, right?
That's right.
See y'all later. Bye.
Thank you.